Welcome back to Look News. Trodder Furlong is here, continuing to take a look at sports and, of course, our high school game of the week.
Had a great game again last week.
Yeah, we're looking at Fort Edward at Greenwich. Greenwich, of course, got the win. Let's take a look back at that one.
Okay. Pretty big game for this John Barnes kid. We talked about him. They wind up winning 42-28 against this team. I said it was going to be a tight game. It was 28-28 going into the fourth quarter. Everybody kind of thought, oh, this Greenwich team is just going to blow out this Fort Edward team. To me, I said right on Look TV, this is a trap game. This Fort Edward team, nothing to lose. They're going to come out. They're going to play a hard game. And they really had this Greenwich team backs against the wall. John Barnes proved to be the equalizer at the end. They pulled away in the fourth quarter. But this Burkhart kid for Fort Edward put up some numbers for him, and it made this game real competitive. Kind of at the end, I talked about it, that you get into these games, on paper it looks like Greenwich is just going to roll over them, and Fort Edward's nothing to lose. They're going to come out and play a hard game. The good teams find a way to win in the fourth quarter. We've seen it all year long. At the end of the game, you got to get that win. And Greenwich was able to do it here at the end.
Greenwich getting the win. Of course, they're number one in their division, so they're a strong team for Fort Edward to go up against.
It was the most points that this Fort Edward team put up all year, and it's impressive to see these kids fight. You know, the game really didn't mean that much to them. They're out of the playoffs, and, you know, that shows you with the talent in this high school football league. These kids always are out there. They're giving 110 all the time, and I'll tell you, the Greenwich team had a real scare into them. You know, anyway it goes over, you fumble the ball, something happens, that tide turns, and you don't get a win out of this. And you kind of were looking forward to the playoffs, and this Fort Edward team had a chance to upset them.
All right, nice showing by Fort Edward. John Barnes from Greenwich, our player of the game.
He deserves it. I mean, last year he was the player of the year. He leads the team. He leads the league in total yards. He's a top-notch player, and I look to see him go on and play in college football.
As the leaves continue to fall off the trees, we're at our last game of the season. I can't believe we're already here. La Salle versus Saratoga. This is going to be a huge one to end our season.
I talked about the Saratoga team early in the season. They look real tough. They got that triple-headed monster that we talked about. This La Salle team, cadets, La Salle cadets, 4-3. Saratoga Blue Street, 6-1. Saratoga is going to have a home playoff game here. La Salle, they pass first, kind of a little different in high school football. Most of your teams are geared towards running. This team likes to pass. They have Dylan Thomas. He's the #1 receiver in the league. He has quarterback Will Williams, 6'3". He's a pocket passer. He likes to sit in the pocket, look for openings on you. This team runs a ton of formations. They look for the big play. They average over 25 points a game. You can't let up the big play on this team. They run a hybrid defense. They're going to pack it in on the Saratoga team. They're going to try to stop the run. If Saratoga can break through this first initial defense, they're going to have some openings for them. They can set up for their own big plays. On special teams, this La Salle team, they run a spread punt defense, and they're going to run a couple trick plays on you. So it's going to be, you got to stop some of these trick plays, and you can't let up the big plays. Look, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead. I just listen to you. I just sit here and listen, Trodder.
The Saratoga team, home field, we talked about it with this team. They have that triple-headed monster that we spoke of. Dakota Harvey, he's got 9 touchdowns on the season. You have Jordan Wilcox. He plays on offense and defense. He's going to try to pressure this Will Williams in the pocket on defense, and then he runs the ball real tough. And your old school quarterback we talked about, Jake Engeltine, he also has 9 touchdowns this year. He's kind of that throwback, old school quarterback, nitty gritty, gets in, likes to get dirty, lowers his shoulder. So it's going to be a tough game either way you look at it. This La Salle team has to try to keep this Toga team honest with their run. They're going to try to pack it in. If they can stop the run, they're going to have a big edge on the Saratoga team. Saratoga, they're not going to get away from it. This is what got them there. This is what got their #2 seed. They're going to stay with their offense. They're going to run the ball, pound it into them. You know, it's going to be a battle of nutrition. No one's going to budge here. You have this Hal Hagen kid. He had 2 interceptions last week. It looks like he's going to try to slow down this Dylan Thomas kid. I look at it. They have that Big Nick, senior captain for Saratoga, leads the team 78 tackles. He's got to put pressure on this kid, Will Williams. It's going to be a high-flying La Salle offense trying to throw the ball, and then an old-school Saratoga team trying to pound the ball on you. I look for a good game here.
Who do you think is going to win it?
You know, I got to give the team. I've said it all year. I'm a blue streak through and through.
Well,
I got my Saratoga blue on. You don't play these games with your heart, though. But the Saratoga team, they didn't get the #2 seed just by winning a couple lucky games. They pound the ball. They have that triple-headed monster. I think the key also having that home field advantage. The kids don't have to make that bus trip. They lose a little focus. You got your headphones on. You're goofing around. They're at home. They can stay in their same little pattern. Hey, we get to the school at 5 o'clock. We stay focused. We go through our plays. We look at their sets, look at their formations, study a little film. You get out to the field right there. You're right at home. You get a nice stretch in. You have that home field crowd. Hey, they're going to run the ball a lot. They already put the work into the groundskeeper. We want the field. We want the grass nice and short. We want to be able to run on this field. You know, let's not water this field all week. Let's get it nice and dry. We want to have a firm footing. We want to pound the ball down the middle. We want to run on them. I got to give the edge to this Blue Streak team. I said in the beginning of the year, this is a team to watch.
Yeah.
And they've been real impressive. They didn't get this #2 seed just by a joke. You know, they've earned it. They're going to run with Jordan Wilcox and Dakota Harvey, and I think Jay Engeltine, he's been around. He's going to give you 110 on him. And I think the Saratoga team is ready to make a big playoff run here.
Saratoga for the win. You had to say that also because they'd probably run you out of town if you didn't say Saratoga for the win.
I'm a Blue Streak guy, and as a sports announcer, you got to play not from your heart. But honestly, I think the Saratoga team is going to have an edge, and I look forward to make a deep run in this playoff.
All right, sounds good. Trodder Furlong, as always, it's great to get your insight into these games. The Saratoga-La Salle game, our next one here on Look TV. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now, to see this segment and all our segments and also see our schedule for play-by-play, head to the website. It's looktvonline.com.